Hello survivors and welcome to a very different kind of video for First Aid Spray. You may be wondering what you're looking at right now. This is Talk to Transformer. It is a AI based website where essentially you are asked to input a prompt of any kind and a modern neural network AI will try to finish that prompt using what it can find on the internet and what it's learned from that and other people using it. This is a free website that you can find. It's talktotransformer.com. So I recommend going and having a play with it, definitely. I've seen a couple of people doing this kind of thing before, so I figured I would give it a go, and I'm gonna do it live. This is my first time actually using the website myself. So what I'm gonna do is put some Resident Evil prompts in here, and we'll see what it comes out with to try and complete that. Maybe we'll get some interesting or some funny stuff as well. So, I mean, the obvious place to start is the first game. So let me see if I can just come out with something for the first game. So, Chris had gone missing in the spooky Spencer mansion, and it was up to Jill and Barry to find him. Okay, Chris had gone missing in the spooky Spencer mansion, and it was up to Jill and Barry to find him. They were supposed to arrive on the night of the Halloween wedding, but instead stayed on an island in Lake Havasu. Alright, that's Lake Havasu. That's in Arizona, I guess. Alright, cool. A blizzard had brought the island to a standstill. The wedding was cancelled after Jill had found it, and Barry had to drive in the storm to help clear a path for the wedding party. Good old Barry. Barry eventually found the ghost of the prince, who was there, but was missing. He found a longsword on the island, the cauldron, and then it stops. It only does a certain amount, so technically we could always copy and paste it and carry on. We're not going to do that. That is wild and wacky. I think it needs a little more information. So let's add a little bit to that. So now we've got Chris has gone missing in the spooky Spencer mansion, and it was up to Jill and Barry to find him. Unfortunately, Jill found out that they weren't alone and that the residence was now occupied by the shambling undead, and it auto-completed with Barry had had enough, and he fired a crossbow bolt into the inky darkness and hoped that he would get through, to which Jill didn't get her wish. When Barry passed, Jill heard voices talking in a mocking fashion, but couldn't figure out the people's point of view. Barry's last message was, "Only I, Bubba." See, this is what I'm saying, right? So now I can put this in here and see if we can carry this story on. Let's see what this comes up with. Barry's last message was, "Only I, Bubba, left this world behind for all time." A few days later, a great big picture image of Barry reading his last word with beeping computer audio appeared on a big screen in Barry's picture window. It said, "This is for all time." In 1992, Jill was invited by her friends to the Navy if she ever wanted to come back to Covington and buy a house. What? Huh? This is already a great success. Alright, so my prompt is, the man's eyes stared into Claire's soul as he shambled towards her. She backed away in fright when suddenly the door opened, revealing a young police officer behind her. Claire could feel a tightening sensation in her chest as the young officer eyed the cloaked man. "Are you Jody Jones?" the officer asked. Claire thought for a moment before replying, "Yes." "Are you related to any of the other masked men?" the officer demanded. Claire relaxed. "No." "Then why? Why, Claire?" Okay, I'm gonna see if we can maybe trick this computer into, getting a bit more specific. So we've used the same prompt and we've just added Redfield in. So now the door opens, revealing a young police officer behind her. His face was shocked and horrified at the sight before him. He was shaking in a mixture of anger, fear and shock. "Oh my goodness, what the hell's going on here?" You, the girl," he stammered. She saw the man's focus falling and reached to pull him away when suddenly she was shoved up against the head. That's a bit more like it. Like, that's got more of the mood. I wonder if it, like, It got that just from... literally the only change I made was the word Redfield. I wonder if it picked up on more of a genre, just for like such a specific term such as Redfield. I wanted to get a bit more specific with this one. Let's get right down to just character interaction, because I've seen this work quite well when it comes to that sort of thing. So we're going back to Resi 3. Brad Vickers shook as he told his former teammate Jill Valentine, "Don't you get it? We're all gonna die." And let's generate text. And now we've gone in a completely different direction, and it's ignored what I've put completely. Let's try a Resi 3 one. Jill watched as Brad Vickers' body was pierced through and thrown aside by the towering monstrous figure of the Nemesis. When it was done with the pilot, it turned next to her. "I am a soldier," she stated. "I came here to fight, to protect." The Fox fighter flew back, following its master's footsteps until it came to a halt. It looked at Jill, the same expression it had when it killed Corsair. It stopped, looking back at the Centaur. "I know you can't survive here. Do you understand? They will kill." This thing is going off the rails really, really fast. But apparently the Nemesis is a Centaur now, right? So that's pretty cool. So my favourite one so far has been the Resident Evil 1. So let's take it back there. The prompt is Chris Redfield was indebted to Rebecca for saving him from the venom of the giant snake. It was good to have someone he could rely on in this spooky mansion. Oh, I put his spooky mansion. Let's correct that. That'll make a big difference. The response by the others wasn't as kind. They tried to interrogate the hell out of Yuma, whoever that is, but they didn't get a chance to. When the door to the car slammed shut, I leaned over to Rebecca and squeezed her shoulder. "I need you to run, Yuma. You can't help me." She shook her head, turning her head to look at me. She shook her head, turning her head. Alright. But, not so sure about that. I want to make it realise we're talking about Resident Evil. So let's try this one. Chris Redfield and Jill Valentine faced off against the tyrant, firing round after round into its chest, but it just kept coming. The record-breaking battle was eventually contested once again in the heavyweight bracket when a powerful slam from Big Mike from Scottsdale forced the Warhog into the wall with a brilliant bit of flinging around which managed to pin it underneath the pit. That's a terrible sentence. The Series 2 battle saw both drivers... What? Heavyweight implies like combat sports, now we're driving. The Series 2 battle saw both drivers face off on what was easily the most heated battle of the series thus far. The only concern was the fact that both drivers had the gearboxes locked together. What? This is a very confusing sport. Alright, let's try this. Claire Redfield sobbed as Steve Burnside took his last breaths in front of her. The Ashfords would pay for what they had done. When she realised the lethal injection was about to commence, she pulled away from her father, attempting to speak with Steve as his airway became more and more compromised. Oh man, but she was unsuccessful. Before he could speak, Charlie began to weep uncontrollably and licked his lips, his eyes like two smouldering lava. The brief exchange made Claire's tears flow freely. She had been more than used to it. Oh, bless her. The brief exchange being that Steve can't speak because his airway's compromised, and then Charlie couldn't speak and his eyes are on fire. Alright, whoever Charlie is. Alright, let's hone in on a character interaction again. Claire felt uneasy around Brian Irons as he spoke to her in a morose tone, and to think that taxidermy had been my hobby, but no longer. Now please, I'd really like to be alone now. He turned his chair away from her. What does Claire do? Though, what he is doing off while I do my... What is he doing? Wait a second. No, I won't let you go unless you explain. Why does he have to go? Claire wiped her hands on her jeans and said, I. Yeah, that's a fair reaction to, though, what is he doing off while I do my... What was he doing? Alright, so far this has been pretty unsuccessful. Amusing, but unsuccessful. Let's get really, really obvious with it. So the zombies closed in on Jill Valentine and she was backed into a wall. She had no way to escape. Some pieces of flesh came ripping through the wall. Wow, that sounds very apt. And another zombie moved in from the entrance. Jill saw him, looked away, and stopped firing. This poor defenseless woman was going to get a lot of shit for firing back at the zombies. She didn't. Jill decided she was actually fired up now and let a bloody devil slice a zombie in half. What? I'm sorry? When did this become Devil May Cry? After Jill had put some decent rounds through the pieces that fell through, a zombie entered through the... Okay, this is a bit more like it. Let's use zombie a lot more. Chris was forced to defend himself against the zombie with a knife. He began to regret suggesting that the group take refuge in this mansion. 17. No. I'm sorry, what? Chris was forced to defend himself against the zombie with a knife. A man assaulted him with a beer bottle. He was then shoved into a trash can. The police were called. The investigation suggests that a crime took place in this small town. No. Okay, we've got Leon's shotgun cleaved the zombie in half, but he was worried that the blasting sound might have alerted something much worse. Don't be stupid, Jenkins. If you ever need to fight someone again, my shotgun was never designed to handle human resistance. Probably not even able to handle basic human weaponry. Shotgun wielding another gun. Is that kind of what... Well, that's your last damn argument, Admiral. I've got no... This is completely irrelevant. This is completely irrelevant. I think I'm going to say overall that this has been a kind of a flop. This hasn't really worked. It's been amusing, nonetheless. But an interesting experiment. But no, this is not quite what I expected from Talk to Transformer. If you guys want to check out the website again, it's talktotransformer.com. Let us know if you have any more success with it. I don't know. Put them in the comments, tweet at us, Discord server, all that good stuff. You can find all of our socials in the description and all of that and how to join the server. I've been Cyniac and this has been First Aid Spray attempting to use a so-called smart AI. So I sat down to record the next episode of First Aid Spray. He had pages of notes and was excited to hear the opinions of the crew. First Aid Spray is an advocacy group dedicated to improving first aid and survival skills in the medical field. We did the show in Philadelphia for Christmas, so the crew came to help out. They helped us plan, take down the equipment, and sample some coffees. Laura was getting very hyped to get a DUI on her last night out of jail in Philly. On her last night out of jail. So before she goes to jail, she wants to get a DUI. Okay, she got some zip ties to help. What?